Howdy YouTube family, it's Bold CRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. So today we're going to be talking about what is the fastest way you can become a CRNA. That's something a lot of people are interested in. They want to know how to become a CRNA, but they don't want to take a long time to get there. They're trying to find the fastest route to become a CRNA. So today we're going to talk about exactly what you can do to get there the fastest. Now obviously the way that you're going to get somewhere fastest is knowing earlier on in your educational career that you want to do that thing so you can start focusing on it. So for those of you who are in high school, what you need to be doing at this point is you need to be taking AP classes, which mean they count for college credit. So your English 101s and maybe your basic anatomy and physiology 1, things like that you need to be taking while you're in high school. A long time ago that wasn't an option for a lot of students, but now currently in 2020 it's very easy. Most programs, most high schools have that offered where you can take AP courses your junior and senior year, and that way I have known of students who start their freshman year of college with 1.5 to 2 years of their prerequisites already done from high school. So that's what you should be doing in high school. Take those classes. That's going to knock 1 or 2 years off of your actual bachelor's degree load when you graduate. Next step, after you've done that, you start off in college. If you already have a couple years of your AP classes, and that means you've got a couple years of your prereqs done, whatever classes that you couldn't take in high school, your prerequisite courses for your BSN, you take as maybe your first year, your freshman year of college. Get those out of the way. Of course, you need to be making A's on all these things. If you're not making A's in these classes, then you're just going to have to retake them again to get into nursing school. So don't fool around, make A's, study, focus hard, get the good grades, and then apply for the BSN nursing program at a local university. Like I alluded to a moment ago, getting into nursing school is challenging. I say it, just get into nursing school as if it's an easy feat. It can be very complicated. It has a lot to do with your grades and making all A's, and so that's why I told you a moment ago, don't fool around with your prerequisite courses. Focus, study hard, make A's, especially in your science courses like anatomy and physiology, microbiology, biology 101, those courses you need to make A's in. So take all those courses, make your A's, get into a nursing program. The nursing program is going to be a minimum of 2 years. Mine was 2.5 years. A BSN is typically a 4-year-long undergrad degree, but if you have 1.5 years or maybe even 2 years of that stuff taken care of in high school, you could get your BSN and be 20, 21 years old maybe. Now, getting into an ICU as a new graduate nurse can be challenging as well. So I'm going to tell you what you need to be doing in nursing school is creating a network of people. So you need to be working at a local hospital part-time. You need to be connecting with nurse managers, connecting with nurses in the unit, and trying to get your foot in the door there so that they know you, that they like you, that they want you to come onto the unit. Your preceptorship, which is your last semester of clinicals when you're in your nursing program, that needs to be in an ICU. You need to pick an ICU unit to precept in, and that way you can kind of get some experience, you can connect with people, and that way they can see how you work as like a nursing student, and they can decide if they like you or not. And that's how I got hired right into an ICU as soon as I graduated. A lot of people harp on what kind of ICU they need to be working in to get into CRNA school. It's not that important. I would say if you can do neuro ICU, that's fine. If you can do medical ICU, that's fine. Surgical ICU is fine. Cardiac ICU is fine. Now neonatal ICU, that can be a tricky area, so I wouldn't recommend, if you're trying to go to CRNA school, I don't recommend doing like a neonatal ICU because some programs will not accept that as part of their ICU experience. Same for PICU. There are some programs that do not look fondly on pediatric ICU, so that might throw a little bit of a curveball your way if you try and work at a pediatric ICU. So really you need to be looking, if you want to be a CRNA and have the highest chance of getting in quickly and without much barriers, you really should be looking at adult ICUs. And no, it does not really matter if it's cardiac ICU or neuro ICU or surgical ICU. I honestly have had just as many students in the programs from cardiac, neuro, surgical, whatever. I don't feel like they show much preference on which type of ICU you went to. The one detail I will tell you need to focus on about the ICU you work for is make sure there's a high level of acuity with your patients. Make sure that you're taking care of vented patients. look for ICUs that have CRT, intra-aortic balloon pumps, multiple drips. If you're looking at a small little 8-bed community hospital ICU that has, you know, maybe one vasopressor on at a time and maybe some of the patients are vented, but anything beyond that they send out to another bigger hospital, that's not a good ICU for you to get into CRNA school with. You want to make sure that you're having patients who are on 6 or 8 different drips, and that you're titrating multiple things, and that you're using lots of machinery, and that you're receiving, you know, fresh surgical patients and Whipples and just different things that are going to cause you to have to use a lot of critical thinking and a lot of different machinery that you need to use. So you get into the ICU, you're a brand new graduate right out of your BSN. That's a huge step. Congratulations. Now you need to be focusing on studying your pharmacology and developing your critical thinking skills that are going to be very important for you to get into CRNA school. They're going to be looking for ICU nurses during the interview who can critical think, who know their pharmacology, who have been talking to the providers on the unit when the providers are rounding and figuring out how to think not just as a nurse who's providing care, but as a provider who's knowing the why behind what you're doing and critical thinking about other options and ways to fix things if things are not going as planned. Also during this time, you need to be networking and connecting with the providers. You need to be shadowing a CRNA down in the OR and seeing what their life is like and their job is like, and asking them questions and making them like you and making them want to write you a letter of recommendation, because you're going to need a letter of recommendation from that CRNA or physician anesthesiologist, whoever you shadowed, to say that they think you would be adequate for training in the IC or training in CRNA school. So you want to be doing that at this time. You want to be connecting with the intensivist on the unit, like the critical care physicians and the critical care NPs who are on the unit with you, because a lot of programs are going to ask for a letter of recommendation from one of them that says this person is bright, this person applies themselves, this person critically thinks, this person is, you know, going to be ideal to be an advanced practice provider. So you want to be making those connections and impressions with them then. I know that's hard to do, and as a new graduate, you're all thumbs and you feel like an idiot all the time, but you need to be trying your hardest to connect with them, and also studying your pharmacology and showing them that you're capable. Also at this exact same time, you should be impressing your manager. So almost all programs are going to ask for a letter of recommendation from the nurse manager in the ICU. They want to see that you're a hard worker, that you're a team player, that you're not problematic on the unit. So your nurse manager is going to need to write you a letter. This can be a challenge because a lot of ICU nurse managers are used to people leaving them to go to CRNA school. So that some of them are burnt out, and some of them don't like writing letters of recommendation very quickly for people. So you really want to make sure that they like you, and that they're going to support you, and that they want you to succeed. So try and do whatever you can to connect and be in good graces with your nurse manager. So when it comes time for you to ask them to write that letter of recommendation, they are willing and able to do that for you. Also, during this immediate time when you start working in the ICU, you're juggling a lot of things at this point, but this is a busy time. You need to be studying for your GRE, which is the Graduates Records Examination, I think is what it stands for, but essentially it's the exam for grad school. So you need to be studying for that, get a book. You know, there's all kinds, you go on Amazon and look up all kinds of prep books and things like that you can buy for it. Start studying and preparing for that. It's not at all related to healthcare or nursing or medicine or science, really. It's based off like reading and writing and math and things like that. So it's totally out of our wheelhouse typically, so you'll need to study and prep up for that. CRNA schools usually don't require an extremely high score on the GRE because they know it's completely unrelated to our study of our field of study. So you really just need to make like a 300 or higher, which is just average, and maybe like a 4 on the writing, which is just kind of average or above average. So you really just need to be able to show them that you can do this test, you can do standardized testing and score at least okay. Also during this time, in case you didn't have enough to do, you need to be studying for your CCRN examination. So the CCRN is your critical care RN examination. It costs like $300 every time you take it. It is difficult. You do need to study for it. I made the mistake of thinking that since at that point I'd worked for 3 years in the ICU and done all kinds of ICUs and thought that I was a good ICU nurse. So I thought surely I would be able to answer the questions appropriately. So I just studied a little bit here or there, didn't take it that seriously, took the exam and failed it. And so then I had to pay $300 and retake it again a couple months later, and actually had to study that time, and then I passed it. So forewarning to you, begin studying for it at this time. Actually focus, do the test bank questions. It is a difficult exam for most people. So go in, pass that, but to take the CCRN, you have to have 1 year of experience. So during this year that you're getting your letters of recommendation, shadowing, taking the GRE, all that stuff, you should be getting your full year of ICU experience at this point. So by the time this year is pretty much over, you should be taking the CCRN. During this year of ICU experience, you should also be making a list up of all the programs that you feel like you would like to go to, whether it's through word of mouth, you've heard it's a good program, whether it's because the tuition matches up with what you're looking for. You need to go through and make up a list of your top schools all the way down of what's important to you. If location is important to you, maybe you need to stay local somewhere nearby within the same state or the next state over. So whatever those reasons are that keep you to a certain area or keep you to certain types of schools, make that list up, go through, figure out what their requirements are. Some of the schools will have requirements that you may not meet. There are some programs out there that want Physics 1, Physics 2, they want Organic Chem, Organic Chems 2. There's a lot of extra courses that many of you may have not taken with your BSN, or not all of those courses. So if you really are dead set on going to that school, then that means you need to go back to undergrad and retake classes or take extra classes that you didn't take back then. Another thing to consider is some programs will not take students with only 1 year of experience. Many of them will take you with 1 year, but there are some that list it needs to be at least 2 years. So if you're looking to get in the fastest way possible, you need to be looking at programs that will take you with 1 year of experience and not 2 or more. So you finished your 1 year of experience, you've got your CCRN, you finished your GRE, you shadowed a CRNA, you got your 3 letters of recommendation, you submitted your application, they liked what you had on there, they liked your CV and your resume, they offer you an interview, they offer you to come in and interview them in person. That's amazing. That's a huge part of the battle. So if you've got to the point where you finally hear and you're going for an interview, that's a huge step. Pat yourself on the back. But now comes the real work, because they have to like you in the interview. Everyone they're going to interview pretty much is going to be someone who meets the requirements on paper. So now you have to show them through the interview process that you were the one out of maybe the 300 others that they are interviewing that they want in their program. It's very competitive, very difficult, and there's lots and lots of people who interview who do not get in. So this is why I highly recommend preparing very intensely for the interview. It means a lot. The interview is a huge step. So I offer mock interviews for students, and so do other programs. The CRNA Prep Academy offers mock interviews. I think Nurse Nell on Instagram, she mostly is on Instagram, she offers mock interviews. There's a few of us out here who offer mock interviews to you students. So I really say, if you don't set up mock interviews through my memberships on my channel, really gives you that edge that helps you land that interview, nail it, know what to say, know how you're coming off to somebody during the interview, and actually get into CRNA school. So at this point, you smashed the interview, you did great, congratulations, you got your acceptance letter. Now you're going to be starting the program, in the next few months probably after you get your acceptance into the program. So that's going to be 36 months. The next 36 months is dead set. That's pretty much the same for everybody. Used to, it was master's degree and it was like 28 months, and so it's a little shorter, but those are gone the way of the dinosaur. They're all doctoral in 36 months now, or longer. There are some programs that are even like 42 months or something, so some of them are like 3.5 years. So anyway, whichever program you pick, 3 to 3.5 years long, it will be locked down. You're going to be in CRNA school. So there's not much you can do about that. You can't change that at all. You can't accelerate that. That's a guaranteed time that you're going to have to invest in. And then you graduate, you become a CRNA, you pass boards, hopefully, and then you go out and you're a CRNA. So that is your timeline. I'm going to break it down for you a little bit more simply here after I explain that whole long process, how long that can be. If you did all of those AP courses in undergrad, you can probably get your BSN done in 2.5, maybe 3 years. Let's say 3 years to be generous. Then you have your 1 year of ICU experience. Say you got your GRE done, your CCRN done, you got your letters of recommendation done in that time, you impressed your manager, you made good connections with the intensivist and critical care NPs on the unit, everything went smashing for you and you got everything done on time. 1 year of experience and got in with that. Perfect. Then you have 3 years of CRNA school at least. So that's a guarantee. So we're talking 3 years BSN, 1 year critical care ICU, 3 years of your CRNA doctorate, and that is 7 years. You graduate, 7 years, you can become a CRNA from high school graduation to out there practicing as a CRNA with your doctorate. Now there is one small alteration to this plan that some people have done where they don't go for their BSN straight away. They graduate high school, they go to an associate's degree program, which is at a community college, and they start straight into the nursing program. They do their 2 years nursing program, and then they work on their prereqs while they're doing their nursing program at the same time. Hopefully they score well in these courses. Then they start straight into the ICU out of that associate's program, which is like 2 years. And then while they're working on as their year of critical care experience, they're also working on their transfer ADN to BSN program online. So they're doing all the extra classes that they needed for their BSN online while they're also working in the ICU. Essentially, this is still going to take you at least 3 years, if not longer, to do that route. So it's not any faster than what I mentioned to do the AP classes in high school and then do your BSN when you graduate and then go into the ICU. It's really not going to be much faster. There are people who have done that and they like that path, so always think about that and consider it. Now, some of you guys are going to hear 7 years is the fastest way possible to become a CRNA, and you're going to be disillusioned and you're going to say that's too long. I don't want to choose a career that takes that much time. My God, 7 years. Why don't you just go to med school and be a physician instead? That's such a long time and so expensive and all that. You can comment down below if you want a video explaining why I chose this path versus med school and residency and the different pros and cons of those things. I can do that for you if you want to hear a video about that. And for those of you who haven't seen some of my other videos and don't know how long it took me 11.5 years to become a CRNA because I did not do 1 year of ICU experience, I did 4. So if you do more years of ICU experience, this will of course take longer. I also didn't take AP classes in high school because my high school didn't really offer that back in the early 2000s. So I had to do my whole 4.5 year BSN program plus 4 years ICU plus 3 years CRNA school. So it was quite a bit longer than the 7 years I told you here. Well, all right, guys, that was the fastest way that you can become a CRNA. I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What was the timeline it took you to become a CRNA? And of course, list if you also have a master's degree and not a doctorate. It doesn't take as long back in the day with masters or other programs. So I want to hear below what your plan is, how fast you got through CRNA school, and if you think it's worth it. Do you think 7 years is too much to be a CRNA? Would you have rather just done a different career instead? Do you think it's totally worth it? I think it's worth it, but that's my opinion. I want to know about you guys. Also, make sure and go over to the memberships tabs if you're interested in being a member on the channel and getting the study guide for CRNA school or having one-on-one membership or the exclusive videos that I have for you guys, the members only every month, and the live chats and all that other stuff, mock interviews for school. That's over at the memberships. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? You made it all the way into this video and you're not subscribed yet? Just hit the subscribe button. I make videos every Monday, so come on back. You'll see a video from me about CRNA or anesthesia or something every Monday. And hit that like button, smash that like button, destroy that like button, and otherwise that is bolt out. See you next time, guys.